everyone, and welcome to Geek, Nerd, Dork. My name is Lynn, and I am joined today with my friend Erik. How you doing, Erik?
Good. How about you?
I'm also well. And then also down there on the end is Trey. How are you, Trey?
Hi, friends. I'm doing pretty good. All things considered, my work was a bit crazy, but
Yeah,
it's almost Friday.
it's almost Friday, except
Mm-hmm.
all right. We decided we're going to start a YouTube channel and maybe podcast, and we're going to talk about things geek, nerd, dork. So anything from your Star Wars to your Marvel to your Tolkien, TV, movies, technology, games, current, retro, whatever. If it's something in that nature, we might discuss it.
Anything fun?
Anything fun?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So for our very, 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 very first episode, we got a couple of topics I want to talk about before we get to our main topic. Um, First one was this is last week, the latest Skeleton Crew trailer dropped. I'm assuming you guys have seen this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
All right. So what are your first thoughts on? We don't have to go deep into Skeleton Crew, but what are your first thoughts on this trailer?
I'll let you
Erik?
guys go first.
Oh, I get to go. No, Trey, go first.
All right. So I definitely am getting 80s kind of retro, I don't know. I'm seeing a mix of like ET vibes mixed with like the Goonies. I don't know. I think others have said Goonies, but
I heard Goonies when they first announced it. It was like Goonies meets Star Wars, and I get that whole that '80s Spielberg feel, ET Goonies, and even going into Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
But that's set in the '80s. That's the whole point of that one. Okay, what do you think, Erik?
Yeah, getting the same feeling about it. I'm curious about it. I'll say. It only feels a little Star Wars. Like there's kind of some Star Wars sprinkled throughout. But I'm just there if it has a good story, it has good characters, all that stuff. Then I'm good.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, my next thought was how do you guys feel about the Disney era of Star Wars? Okay, you got what? We have Mandalorian, we've had Book of Boba Fett, we've had Ahsoka, we had Kenobi, Andor, Acolyte. I mean, I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed some of them more than others. Acolyte was not my thing, and I feel like that was the thing. A lot of people felt like it was not, and it was Star Wars though. I mean, I liked some of the characters. I just couldn't get into it. I watched it all, of course.
Yeah, I like the Sith in it, but other than that, wasn't a very big fan.
No.
Of that one. And it for me, all of the series have been hit or miss. Like I've either like loved it and it was excellent, and then others I'm like, I mean, like Kenobi, I was kind of in the middle on. I was like, it was it was pretty
Kenobi
good.
had its
but
moments, I feel.
Yeah, but it could have been a lot better. Yeah, it had really great moments actually, but it could have been a lot better. And some of the the Acolyte was for me,
was
but
not. No.
Yeah, and Ahsoka was. It was really cool seeing like a lot of stuff from Rebels and things like that, like in it. Yeah, which was
Rebels before, right?
Oh yeah, loved Rebels.
Okay.
I'm got a Fulcrum shirt on. So I'm
okay.
Big Rebels fan.
You're all in on that one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Love Rebels.
Of all the Disney Plus stuff, this series, I think honestly my favorite one was Andor.
I think that's
because a lot of people are like, well, this isn't Star Wars. This could have been any science fiction. They just put Star Wars on it. You know what? I don't care. I don't need Jedi in my Star Wars. Am I sacrilegious for saying that? I don't know, but
No,
yeah, I don't.
I don't think so.
It's a little sacrilegious to say that, Erik. Okay,
maybe just a hair. But,
okay.
No, and that's the only one I actually haven't watched yet. Like I didn't go back on. So I started on the first episode, and I don't know if I was just working too much at the time or what, but I just fell asleep. And I tried it twice, and I fell asleep, and I didn't make it through the first episode.
Well,
so.
Okay, well, Skeleton and Crew is this December, and then next December, I believe, is supposed to be the second season of Andor.
Yeah, that's what.
So I guess you got a year.
Yep,
you've got a year to watch it. Okay.
All right.
Yes, I really enjoyed it. So yeah,
cool. I've heard some. It seemed like a sleeper. Like a lot of people, didn't really watch it initially, and didn't, or a few people didn't like it. So it got some bad reviews, but then once kind of everybody else watched it, it was like cult classic. Like, this is great, love it. All that sort of stuff. So.
I really did enjoy that one. Mm-hmm. All right. So, anything else anybody want to talk about the Disney era of Star Wars, real quick, before we move on?
It would be nice if the movies kind of did a little. If they had a consistent story, would be nice moving forward.
Yes,
because there were some actually I liked episode 7 quite a bit.
Well, okay, episode 7 was good. Rogue One was awesome.
Oh yeah,
that's probably why. That's probably one of the reasons I really liked Andor.
Yep.
Episode 7 was. Solo was okay. I wasn't real enamored with. I wouldn't have complained about a second Solo movie. Rise of Skywalker was, hey, we got to fix everything we did in Last Jedi. And okay, Rise of Skywalker it's been 10 years almost. No. Force Awakens was 10 years now. It came out in 15.
Yeah,
so it's been 4 years.
Yep.
Almost, since we've had a movie in the theater of Star Wars.
I had my kids, they were little at the time, dress up, and we went and saw all of them opening night, all 3 of them. So
nice.
That was fun. Yep.
Nice. All right. Well, my next topic I want to talk about is not Disney Plus related, but Disney Plus related. Not Disney Star Wars. How about that? But kinda. The last week also came out the John Williams documentary, music by John Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that. Have you guys watched it yet?
Yeah, I actually had my mom and stepdad come over and watch it with me because they're big into music and love all of his music. So, and they loved it, and I really liked it as well.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah. Trey, yes.
I have admittedly not watched it yet. We'll watch it this weekend, but
put it on the list.
We won't ban you from the show yet. No, I really enjoy. I knew stuff about John Williams, but I didn't know all that stuff about John Williams. I did not know his early career stuff. I mean, the first thing I thought he did was Lost in Space, but he did a couple things before that too. The Lost in Space TV series. What is done now, and I've made a list of basically all the movies that John Williams composed the scores for.
Nice.
And now I want to watch them all.
Mm-hmm.
Some people want to watch every movie that a certain actor's in, or every movie that a certain director directs. I want to watch every movie that John Williams composed, and it's over 100 movies.
Crazy.
It's a lot. I mean, I was just making the list. There was movies in there I didn't know he composed. I don't even know. Trey probably doesn't even know what this movie is. Space Camp.
Nope.
Do you know what Space Camp is, Erik?
I don't know.
Oh man, Space Camp. I knew he did some of the disaster films at the beginning. He did
Earthquake,
Towering Inferno, the Poseidon Adventure. I've never seen any of those, but now I want to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
I also didn't know he was a jazz pianist before.
I knew he was jazz. I knew about his background in jazz and stuff. Yeah.
And plus, there was a lot he didn't compose early on, where he just played all the piano parts.
Yeah.
In them, I was like, I had no idea about that either.
Yeah. So now I want to go through it. I made a spreadsheet of John Williams movies that I will mark off as I watch them all now.
Nice. It was very Spielberg heavy, which I thought was good. He kind of talked the most because it was kind of because of him that.
Spielberg's the one, and I mean, John Williams is the guy that Spielberg goes to. You're going to be my composer.
Yeah, this is the existential question I had after watching it was when John Williams stops or passes away or whatever, because he's in his 90s.
Yeah, he's
now.
like 90 something. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 92, I believe.
Okay.
Does Steven Spielberg stop as well? Like, because if he doesn't have the same, his guy for doing all of his, I mean, he's been kind of slowing down a bit over the years.
Steven Spielberg slowed down. Yeah.
Yeah, he's executive producer on a million things now, but he's not directing as much. But I'm like, is he going to stop when there's no more John Williams to do his music?
I did like the one part in it where John Williams talked about how there's certain ones that he feels like he needs to do all of them. So that's why he did all of the Star Wars. Yeah. He did all of the Indiana Jones.
Yeah, because he said he doesn't like doing sequels, but he's like, there's some of them I just gotta. Like, I started it. I need to make sure that continues. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what it would have been like if he would have continued and done all the Harry Potters.
Oh, just thinking that.
Because he only did the first 3. And the third Harry Potter, that's, I think, the best film score. One of his best film scores. Because I really like that one. Nice. All right. So, yeah. All right. I'm ready to move on to our main topic of discussion today. Woo-hoo. This is sort of so people can get to know us and our taste some as well. I asked you guys earlier in the week to come up with a list of your top 5 movies. You don't have to do them in a particular order. I mean, if you're like me, I have more than 5. I have 5 that I wrote down, and then I have a list of honorable mentions off to the side. So I figured what we could do is we could just go through it. Like, I'll give my number 5. We can discuss if we want a little. Erik, do your number 5. Trey, number 5, and we'll just go round and around and around like that. Sound good?
Yes, I wrote them down 1 through 5, though, so I'm gonna have to go backwards.
See,
I wrote them in the wrong order.
Right, Trey, did you even write them down?
Nope, it's all up here.
And I know there will be overlap. So I mean, I may say a movie that maybe Erik has later on in his list. So I mean, if you want to wait and say your movie, then at that time we can discuss a little more then too. All right. My number 5 movie that I put down, and I'm an overachiever. I wrote some information down. Came out in year 2000. Stars David Spade, John Goodman, Eartha Kitt, Patrick Warburton. If I can talk. Animated. The Emperor's New Groove.
Mm-hmm. That was a great one.
That's probably by far my favorite Disney movie. Llama face.
I mean, yeah, there's so much funny stuff in that movie.
That is a fun movie. Honestly, that movie when they started production on that movie, completely different movie. It was going to be more of a Prince and the Pauper epic. It had like Lion King and stuff was, they had Sting was going to do all the soundtrack. Sting did the soundtrack for it, but it was a completely different movie than what he started on. But yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, just my favorite animated movie right there, probably.
How far did they make it through production on that before they changed? Was it super early or halfway through? Or
it was. I think they made it a fair amount in. I've watched some videos on YouTube about it before. And I think they made it a fair amount into it before it changed.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But like Pacha, John Goodman's character was supposed to be more like identical twin type thing to Cusco. And that, yeah. And
interesting.
Eartha Kitt. I don't know if you know who Eartha Kitt is. You know the Christmas song Santa Baby? That's Eartha Kitt.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
No.
That's crazy.
These are the kind of informational tidbits that you'll get from me. All right, Erik, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Avengers Endgame. Because I mean, yeah, the first one was great. The first Avengers movie, just to see them all. But I think it's mostly for the theater going experience. Like I like to go on like the first showing of big movies, not just Marvel stuff, but anything that's gonna be probably big. I like to go, and man, that one, like when when he gets the hammer, like when Captain America gets a hammer, like people
everybody's like, yes,
and then he like just starts to beat on Thanos. It's like people just everyone is just losing. You have to watch the movie a couple times because the first one you don't even catch some of the stuff. You can't hear it because people are flipping out, and that was good. And then Avengers assembled and they're all coming in. It's like, oh my gosh, like it was a call, like the first Avengers was a culmination of leading up to bringing them together, and the last one was like the whole MCU kind of book ending right there. And
it could have ended there. They could have never made another Marvel movie after that.
Yep.
And it would have been perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
All right. Trey, number 5.
Probably going to be a little bit surprising, but considering like my age, but Tombstone.
Oh, that's the one with Val Kilmer, and that's not the. There were two of them at the same time. There's Tombstone and Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp was the one with Kevin Costner, right? And Tombstone was the one with Kurt Russell. Am I correct? It's been a while since I've seen either one of them.
Yeah. I'm bad with actors' names, to be completely honest, but
okay. Tombstone's one with Val Kilmer, and yeah, that's a good one. That is probably is it one of my favorite westerns? It's up there. It's probably one of my favorite ones.
It is, as you know, not necessarily something you would think would be a film, but I remember watching it for the first time, like expecting it to be boring, and
oh no, it's not.
Surprised. And like the number of quotes that just like still stick with me, like I'm your Huckleberry, like just it is a good movie. It is a good movie.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
Yeah. And as I was thinking of number 5, I was like, I was shocked to think that would be up there, but it is well acted, and
I've seen Tombstone more recently than I have Wyatt Earp. Now I want to go watch Wyatt Earp too, just so I can compare them.
That happens a lot in Hollywood. Actually, someone will take a script around to each studio, and then they'll all turn it down, and then one picks it up. The other studios will go, well, it was a good idea. We just don't like, this, or we don't like the guy pitching it or whatever. And then they'll go have someone else write something similar. And then they end up coming out at the same time.
Yeah, I can think of that like Armageddon, Deep Impact, Volcano, and Pierce Bronson, Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
You get that same. You get this. It happens more often than you think.
Or even A Bug's Life and Ants.
I forgot about that one. Yeah. Ants was not a kid movie though.
It was a little more adult.
Yeah. All right. So we're back to me, number 4. You guys aren't going to know this one probably. 1963 stars Steve McQueen as Hiltz, James Gardner as Henley, Richard Attenborough as Bartlett, and Charles Bronson as Danny. 1963. These are very young people, very young James Gardner, a young Charles Bronson. The Great Escape. You've ever heard of this? Either one of you?
Yep.
Trey?
Heard of it, but
it's
definitely
it's it's World War II, escaping the Nazi prisoner of war camp. Hiltz is the Cooler King. James Garner's the Scrounger. Richard Attenborough is the Big X, the guy that plans it all, and just them trying to break out of this Nazi camp. The Nazis have taken all of their worst prisoners, the ones that have the most escape attempts, decided to put them all in one big special camp to keep an eye on them all there. So, yeah, it's based on a true story too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was also inspired Hogan's Heroes, the TV show.
Nice.
Well, yeah, that's probably one of my favorite World War II movies. Is that one?
Nice. I should probably watch it. I haven't ever seen it. I've heard a lot about it, over the years. I've never seen it.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Erik, number 4.
See, all of my movies are fairly modern.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that was my oldest movie. Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Okay.
My number 4 is. I actually just watched it yesterday in theaters with my kids because it's the 10th anniversary of John Wick. So I'm a huge fan of all 4 of the movies, and now my kids are as well. Like I think I got them leading up to. I showed my son the first one, and then no, actually I showed both of them, my son and daughter, the first one, and I think daughter sort of lost interest in the middle, like 2 and 3. She's like, whatever. But then 4 she loved. But yeah, my son like watched all 4 of them and loved. We watched the 4th one in the theater like multiple times.
Wow.
Like they loved it so much they requested it again. Like it's just it's the ultimate action movie. Like it's just crazy the stuff they do and what they come up with for the movies, and like action in a movie is usually just an accent. It's like, oh, you got this here, and I got a fight sequence here or whatever. But that movie is just, I mean, the first one has some story to it to kind of kick it off, but it's not like, anything crazy. But then, yeah, just the craziest action ever. Love it. And plus Keanu Reeves, I'm just a huge fan of him in general, but like he really is that character. Like he just became it. And you can find videos of him on YouTube, like just doing target practice and stuff. Like he's just so good with guns in real life. Like he's a master of them. And I loved it. It's great.
And this is where I'll say, never seen a John Wick movie.
Oh man. If you're not a big fan of action,
I'm a big fan of action. I just don't know why those haven't.
Oh man, just
come
watch
across.
The first one.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm like also a huge fan of Keanu Reeves, and yeah, it is. It is like a roller coaster because it just like it doesn't stop. It just kind of keeps going. First one is definitely like said some slower bits,
yeah,
and a lot of the story is kind of just tucked in the background, and you're just like, oh, like I've just recently rewatched. I haven't seen the 4th one. I was planning on watching it, so I was watching 1, 2, and 3, and there's just a lot of like subtle things about like just the underground nitty gritty things, like the Continental. Just I know it's gonna be nothing to you, Lynn, but
I can't believe I didn't mention that actually. Yeah, the world building in John Wick is immense. Like it just builds this whole universe of assassins that like it's crazy the amount of detail they go into with the gold coins and what they do, what they exchange them for, and it's just good. Yeah, gotta watch them. It's good. Yeah.
Sorry, my Keanu Reeves, I think Ted.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I think Keanu Reeves. I just see Ted.
Whoa. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on Trey. Trey number 4. No, Trey number 3. No, 4.
4. Yeah.
Number 4. Counting.
This one had a lot of trouble with this one actually, because I know we're gonna do like honorable mentions, but it is kind of 2 that are kind of in. We'll get to that, but I think. Yep, I think I'm gonna go with The Matrix, honestly.
Oh, more Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, I honestly don't. Did it come out like 90? I mean,
99, I believe.
99.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, should I have probably watched it? No. It was very cool. I had no idea what was going on, but just the gun fu type combat, and just it was
Well, and I mean that set up so many not trope, but the freeze frame action, like the
bullet
camera
time.
spin around, and stuff like that, and
I mean they came up with new tech for the movie. Like
that
didn't exist.
Matrix. That was the first time they did that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Matrix. I've seen. I've seen that one, and I didn't think Ted. All right.
He actually does say "whoa" in that movie, though.
Yes, he does say whoa. All right. So now we're number 3. My number 3, 1993. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, Richard Attenborough again. Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
The original Jurassic Park.
Another John Williams.
Yes. Oh, that movie. If you don't know, I'm a Star Wars fan. But if I wasn't Star Wars, I think Jurassic Park would be my thing.
Yeah.
Because of the dinosaurs. And you have to say dinosaur that way, the way Mr. DNA says it. It's a dinosaur.
Yeah. That was really where Samuel L. Jackson got his start. Really, I mean, he was doing stuff before then, but that was one
of his first movies. And he doesn't look like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Well, sitting there with a cigarette in his mouth.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's no F words.
Yeah, exactly.
no F bombs in it.
He wasn't famous enough to get to say whatever he wanted to.
Yeah, but and that movie, and the thing is, dinosaurs are actually in that movie very little. You actually see very little screen time of dinosaurs in that original Jurassic Park. But yeah, that one was right, and that was. Go on, Trey.
But I feel like that kind of like Jaws in the sense that not seeing a predator or whatever, it adds more intensity. Mm-hmm. So I mean, just the way they were able to add the tension and show very little.
And ILM did the effects. Actually, Phil Tippett, or was it Joe Johnson? No, it's Phil Tippett, I believe. They were originally going to do the dinosaurs practical.
And they did some of them.
They did some of them, but I mean, they were going to. Everything was going to be, and then ILM they decided they tried it with the computer generated graphics and stuff, the CGI, and that since they were able to do the dinosaurs, that's when George Lucas decided, hey, I can go back and do my Star Wars movies now.
Yeah, and I believe I heard Steven Spielberg even thought the movie would be possible once he saw it, the T-1000 in Terminator 2. He's like, okay, we're going to probably come up with something to do dinosaurs for real. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so Erik, number 3.
I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan, so this one has to be Inception, which is it's kind of interesting too, because I had some ideas I had pitched with a friend that were slightly similar, like only about half similar, but the idea of dreaming together is what ours was about. And once I saw that he was doing this movie about how you could kind of, have your consciousness together in this world that you're all making up, and then go even deeper than that. I was hooked before I even saw it, and then I saw it, and just in the way Christopher Nolan deals with weird time stuff, almost all of his movies have to do with time in some way. It was just so well done. Like I that's another one of my movies on my list, which maybe I have some honorable mentions that I'll say are the same, that I watch probably about every year. Like I just watch it again and again. A bunch of his movies, but that one probably more than the others. Love it.
So I think that's 2 movies now that you've had that I haven't seen, because I have not seen Inception either.
You're missing out. Gotta watch it.
Okay, come on. You haven't watched The Great Escape.
It's on my list. I'll watch it. Yep.
All right. Trey, what you got? Number 3.
I originally had a set top 3, And honestly, I think I'm gonna stick with it just because I'm that guy, and everything else. And you'll know the trend for our viewers, but
before you do it, do you have to put it in a certain order? Because I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the order, but you can probably know which 3 are going to make up my top tier. Kind of feels like cheating, but that's fine. So I'm gonna have to say number 3 is gonna have to be probably Fellowship of the Ring.
Fellowship.
Nice.
Okay.
Good one.
All right.
And as people will find out, I'm like the resident Tolkien nerd. That is my thing. Can't really see it because of the way my camera is, but I have a hole on my mantle back there, just Tolkien stuff, and that's I have so much more that I need to bring. I got like swords, but I have cats, and I do not need them decapitated. So
yeah, Fellowship is down on my honorable mention list later here. That of the Middle Earth movies, that was probably my favorite one with Fellowship.
Yep.
So yeah,
and I guess as a even further clarification, you have to watch the extended versions. You're cheating yourself out of a whole.
I had never watched extended editions until just last year. Last year was the first time I ever watched the extended editions.
Wow. And dude, I bought the box the day it came out. I don't remember what year it was, like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. And just bought pizza and watched them all straight. It's like 12 hours worth of movie or whatever. Watched it all the way through.
Now me and my wife, we watched them, and we watched all 3 of them over 3 days. And we got out of whack. The first day we only watched disc 1 of Fellowship because we started it late, so we didn't watch the second half of it. So the second day, I was on vacation this week. We were on vacation. So the second day we watched the rest of Fellowship, the first half of the 2 Towers, and then we stopped. So the third day we watched the rest of 2 Towers, first disc of Return of the King, and it's like, you know what? We're just going to go through it. And I'm an old man. I was way past my bedtime, but I watched them all. So yes.
Yeah, I was in my early 20s, so I was okay. Watched it all.
Yeah, this was just last year. And my wife, she hadn't seen them enough to know what was in the extended and what wasn't in the extended. I at least seen the theatrical cut enough times to know when, hey, this is the scene that's in the extended, that it's not in the original. I could at least tell, but she couldn't even tell that. She just watched them.
Gotcha.
All right, so
I was just gonna say, yeah, those movies, we don't have a whole lot of movies like that anymore, and I think it's mostly because of Peter Jackson and the 2 ladies, I forget their name, that were basically like, they're just all such huge Tolkien fans, and they adjusted as they went. Like, they didn't just have a plan up front. They knew where they were going for each movie, but they had it laid out like generally where they were going to go, but they just loved the topic so much, and were willing to sort of adjust it. They worked as a team to sort of like adjust the story as they went, and it just the result is excellent.
Yeah. I mean, we have those movies; they're just really long, just not the dedication, the love of it.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying, like that type of movie that's just that good and adored by that many people is smaller and smaller, like each year. Like, we just don't have as many movies like that.
All right. Okay, well, we're gonna move on to my number 2, which was already mentioned in passing, kinda. 2012, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, the first Avenger movie.
Yes.
Yep. That one, I remember we were getting ready to watch that. I did not go watch a Marvel movie in the theater until Iron Man 3. So these were all, I watched all these at home afterwards, after they're out. But just the idea of the Avengers, like, we shouldn't be getting this. This is not a thing that happens where you have all these characters from these other movies and stuff coming together into one movie. It was like
a universe.
The basic, a universe.
A cinematic
kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, that was That was I really enjoyed that one. Of all the Marvel movies, that is my favorite Marvel movie. Yes, Endgame is awesome and it's a great end cap to everything, but like you said when you were talking about Endgame, we wouldn't have had that until we had this first.
Yeah. And Endgame even goes back into the Avengers
movie.
It
goes back
which
into
is pretty
Avengers
cool.
Movie,
yeah. Which kicked off then the Loki TV series, which is, the first, I think it was the first Disney Plus, or Mandalorian was first, but Loki was the first MCU one.
No.
Really? I thought
not the first one.
I thought it was Mandalorian was the first.
Well, Mandalorian was first, but the first Marvel was WandaVision.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, you're right.
Come on, keep up, man.
Well, Loki was just so the Loki TV show is just so good. Like,
I really enjoyed Loki.
Yeah,
and
my kids watched that and loved it as well.
Tom Hiddleston. See, I didn't listen on my actors on this movie, but yeah, Tom Hiddleston and that character. And Tom Hiddleston originally auditioned for Thor.
Yeah,
to play Thor, which would have been
different,
completely different.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, Erik, number 2.
Good old classic Episode 4 of Star Wars. That's my number 2. I mean, the first time I ever saw it was at my grandma's house. She had the VHS tape, and it was the VHS tape she had was already kind of old, like by then, because I was probably, I would say that was like 83. I mean, it was probably around the time the Jedi came out or something, but I had never seen any of them. I would have been 4 or 5 years old, something like that. And
again, make me feel old.
You are. No,
thanks, guys.
But no, it was just a whole other thing. It was just like your eyes are huge. You're just watching it. You're like, I've never seen anything like this, and it was so excellent. And you just watch it 100 million times, and it's still good. Like, can't be beat.
Yeah. We could definitely discuss it a little bit more later on here.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Trey. I know it's one of these 2 movies, which is number 2.
Gonna go with Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, which is fitting to be number 2.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like the impact of Lord of the Rings is, I mean, I do love Star Wars, but Lord of the Rings. But let's see, I don't remember what year they came out, but
it would have been
early 2000s. But
it was late 90s into early 2000s.
Okay, see, I gotta use Star Wars to think about this for a second, because Episode 2 came out in 2002. Then there was a Lord of the Rings movie at the same time that year. I mean, that same year, but I couldn't tell you which Lord of the Rings movie was when Episode 2 was.
The internet says 2001
for the first one. So
yeah,
Two Towers of Babylon 2 and Return of the King 03.
Being a not quite teen, kind of in that adolescent, it was just, I have never seen anything to that scale, especially the battle at Helm's Deep.
Helm's Deep was, I forgot about Helm's Deep in that one.
Yeah. I just remember just being in awe, and looking back, a lot of the just practical effects, which I think is I'm very much pro practical effect and miniatures versus CGI, because I think there's a lot of detail. I mean, nowadays I get CGI is improved, but
Helm's Deep was a miniature, right? The actual Helm's
Deep,
was...
the level of details they were able to do with that, I think shows.
I mean, we say miniature, but it really wasn't miniature.
It was
miniature the same way like Hogwarts Castle's a miniature.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but just the level of, like Erik mentioned, the level of detail and commitment and care they put into that, it was kind of just blew my mind. It still does to this day. I mean,
that's where the Ents first showed up too, right? Was Two Towers? That were the Ents?
Yeah.
I love the Ents. And the battle at the end there with the Ents at the with Saruman. I get them mixed up. Christopher Lee.
Yeah.
That battle there, just the little thing like the one ant running when the dam breaks. That one ant who's on fire.
Yeah.
Ducks his head in it. Like they put little things like that in. Like, that's
Yeah, and I believe that's I believe Peter Jackson helped start Weta. For that movie. Well, and if you look at Weta, I think they do mostly CG stuff. But back then they did mostly.
Well, and it was the DreamWorks that distributed all that. Was it DreamWorks or not DreamWorks?
I don't think so.
But whatever the movie company it was, New Line. Is it New Line?
Yeah,
that sounds right.
New Line. They put all their money into it. So if this movie didn't make it, they were done. They were bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the faith that they put into the directors and stuff. So that's saying a lot.
Yep.
All right. Well, okay. My number one, Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, 1977. Let's go everybody. Kenny Baker, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse, Peter Mayhew. Like, I'm sorry, I can name all these guys. Star Wars, Episode 4, New Hope. Or back in my day, when we just called it Star Wars. Back before they called it A New Hope. Well, okay.
When did they start calling it A New Hope? When
they started,
Empire Strikes Back comes out?
Well, they added the New Hope, I believe, for the, I want to say 79 re-release of it, because Empire came out in 80. So it was before. And honestly, that movie, Star Wars has been my life forever. I don't remember ever not knowing Star Wars. Now, I will give you, I believe my first Star Wars movie I actually ever saw was Empire Strikes Back. And I mean, I'm telling you Episode 4 right now. That's today. Today it's Episode 4. Tomorrow it might be Empire. Heck, tomorrow it might be Phantom Menace. I don't know. I like Star Wars a lot.
Having been around you since high school, I know. Yes.
Well, Trey hasn't been around me since high school, but he knows too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were who I went to when we worked together. I was like, so there's books, right? Like,
oh yes, I forgot about that.
That is the spiral of friendship.
Yes, you asked me about the books. I forgot about that.
Yep, and
yes,
yes. That was when I knew for sure, like, okay, this guy knows his stuff.
Yes, I forgot about that. But yeah, Star Wars is it's just my thing. If, like I said, if there wasn't Star Wars, it might be Jurassic Park, but I don't have to worry about that because they're Star Wars. So yeah,
it will always exist forever.
Yes, even in the weird Disney era. All right, Erik, number one.
It's already been mentioned, but
it's okay.
My number one is The Matrix. Again, the movie-going experience for me was actually there was barely anybody there. I had no idea what the movie was. Like when it first came out, I didn't see it. This was in the late 90s where most everyone started to have a cell phone, but there were no smartphones. None of the internet was still like, well, most people have it, but we don't. There's no social media. We don't live on there. There was maybe MySpace by then.
Oh, I remember internet in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dial-up.
I mean, yeah. When we were at college, like, I mean, there was just starting to be like some research on there. There's starting to, I think maybe Wikipedia may have been around by then, but there started to be things online you could do. But like all of my classes were like, you can only reference one thing from the internet. The rest have to be actual books because we don't trust the internet. And I'm like, okay.
Hey, they got that part right. We don't trust the internet.
Yeah, well, now it's both more trustable and less trustable.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I had no idea what it was, and I just on a whim was like, "Oh, what's this Matrix thing? Oh, it looks kind of techie, and there's some guns and some fun action." So I'm like, "Okay, I'll go." Like, I think maybe I saw the trailer on TV or something. And then so I just went to some theater during the day, matinee, and sat, and there were maybe like 3 other people in the theater or something like that. But after I watched it though, I walked out and I was just like, couldn't get it out of my head. I'm like,
I'm pretty sure the first time I saw
the
Matrix
right now or what? Like,
I'm pretty sure the first time I ever saw Matrix was on a VHS tape. I know I did not see it in a theater. I kind of wish I would have.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And then the second and third one came out. Most people didn't like the second and third one. I did. Like, I didn't like as much as the first one, but because for me, like, it took the lore and extended it out further. It was like, oh, there is kind of a thing here. And it's pretty interesting too, like hearing about how they came up with the concept and how it was very much just like a mix of different religions, like the whole thing, and a lot of historical stuff, and plus I'm a tech guy, so like, you know, AI and robots taking over the world. I'm like yeah, like I was already thinking of that stuff back then anyway, that it might, you know, be a possibility. So it was everything.
All right, so what about I've seen the first one, second one, and the third one. What about the fourth one?
It tried to do something different, and for me, it doesn't work. Like, it was pretty bad. I mean, it's definitely not the worst movie. It's definitely not the worst of their movies that I've seen. The directors, that would be Jupiter Ascending. That was a terrible movie. Worst movie I've ever seen. But like Cloud Atlas and all those things. It tried to basically like just be meta on itself, of like, well, let's just talk about the idea of the Matrix and let's have them in this fake Matrix where they it's hard to explain, but
so I'm not missing anything. Is that what you're saying?
No, there are a couple scenes where they showed a little bit of what happened in between 3 and 4. They just sort of like flash back to like the finish of the war with the robots, sort of before some of them started joining forces with humans, and that part was great. I'm like, just do a whole movie about that. I'm like, that would be great. Like, let's just do that, and to kind of see how the war ends between, you know, robots and what. Yeah, let's do that. But that's like 10 minutes of the movie or 5 minutes of the movie. So yeah, no.
Okay.
Not good.
All right. Okay. Well, Trey, we all know what your last one is. It's the Hobbit. Oh.
Yeah. You know, like, I am probably one of the, like, I don't hate the Hobbit films. I know a lot of that is a controversial opinion. I mean, the first one, that'll be a discussion.
That's a whole different show. We'll get to that one later.
I didn't hate them. They're just not as good.
All right. Yeah. So Return of the King, though, huh?
That is the first one that I got the movie, like, in the theater experience. I saw the trailer for Two Towers. I don't even remember. I'd have to deep dive on.
Return of the King was the first one you saw in a theater?
Yes. All the other ones were on VHS. And at that point, I remember seeing it with my cousin, and I remember, I don't know why we thought it was a good idea to sit so close to the screen. Maybe thought we were like, oh, look, we're in the movie. But like, I remember having to like lean all the way back to take it all in. But because at that point I had not read any Lord of the Rings, so through all of them, I did not have any idea what the plot was going to be. Like, I legitimately thought that things were going to end terrible. I was like, okay, well, this is great. And now I'm sitting here and all worked up and crying over fictional characters. I think they're probably the first fictional characters from a film that I completely mess over. But yeah, it was, with Howard Shore's music and just everything, it was the peak childhood film experience. And for me and my squirrel brain, and be able to sit through this wasn't even extended back then. This was still like almost a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
To be able to be fully immersed and not miss a beat and not get distracted, like, it is just, I don't know if there's a movie that, for me personally, that can ever top that in general, honestly.
See,
it is
that
just a very special movie to me.
the only one of those first Lord of the Ring movies I saw in the theater was Fellowship. The other ones I watched, well, I believe I at least had DVD at that point. But yeah, I watched those at home. So yeah,
I'm a big theater guy, so I saw all of them in the theater. Saw all the Harry Potters in the theater. So
I'm a big theater guy too. But well, I haven't been a bit of a theater guy since pandemic.
Yeah,
but I am, and well, I don't know if that's something. Yeah, well, I'll tell you. But right after the pandemic, and the theaters start to open back up, little theater here in where we lived at the time, they opened up, but there were no movies really. So he was showing old movies. I went and watched Empire Strikes Back. I watched Jaws. I watched Goonies. I watched Wizard of Oz.
nice.
Ferris Bueller. You know, so yeah, I watched old movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the last, well, no, I can't say that. The last movie I saw in a theater was Twisters. That was this year. But the 2 movies before that, one was Phantom Menace for his 25th anniversary, and the other one was last Christmas time, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I watched old movies in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I paid money to do that.
Nice.
All right. So honorable mentions. I wrote down 5 here. I put Fellowship of the Ring on there. I put National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I have down here Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan.
No, yeah.
Because I had to watch Star Trek during the dark times when there wasn't any Star Wars. And it was either going to be Wrath of Khan or Undiscovered Country.
Yeah, those were the what
2
I was going to say. Yeah.
That I put on. Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban. We kind of mentioned we were talking about John Williams, but I like all the Harry Potter movies, but that was probably my favorite one. And then the oldest one on my honorable mention is Transformers, the movie, 1986
with Weird Al. Yeah.
Killed a whole generation, put a whole generation of kids in depression because they killed Optimus Prime.
Yeah,
it actually killed him. He was dead. He didn't come back.
Yep. So, yeah. I for the longest time had Hot Rod because he took over, didn't he?
Yeah,
but Hot Rod took over. So I had that toy for a while because Optimus Prime was my first one I ever had, and then sad.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. What you got for honorable mentions, guys?
I have Lord of the Rings, all of them. Like I'm a big fan of all of them. I have most of these are in pairs.
Okay.
So I have The Sixth Sense and Invincible. Those are both M. Night Shyamalan movies that I loved. And then
Sixth Sense was good. I remember that.
Yep. The plot twist was, there weren't a whole lot of movies that did that, where you're like, wait, I just watched a whole movie and it wasn't that? Like, what the heck? And then I had Idiocracy and Office Space. I'm a big fan of those silly
Office
movies.
Space. I've seen Office Space.
Yeah. Oh, if you haven't seen Idiocracy, we're half living in Idiocracy land now.
Okay.
So. you can probably.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. And then Ace Ventura and the Mask, like big Jim Carrey fan, and Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. Like
Happy Gilmore, yes, I forgot about
so many
Happy
quotes
Gilmore
in those movies, and they're just
love
hilarious.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite Adam Sandler movie right there. Happy Gilmore, and I would put Happy Gilmore and Waterboy.
Oh yeah, Waterboy is good. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What you got, Trey? Anything?
So probably, I don't know if it's controversial anymore, but I think Revenge of the Sith is probably up there.
Revenge of the Sith is the one that most people like of the prequels. That's most people's favorite one. Yeah.
And I was the audience being catered to for the prequels. Was it 99 when they?
99, 02, and 05.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. Like that was, hey, this is for you. And I remember watching. I guess I don't know if I could lump them together, but I would say for me, I find the prequels to be more, and this is probably going to irritate a good portion of people, but I find them more enjoyable than the original.
But see,
not necessarily.
That's your Star Wars.
Again, yeah,
yes.
that was what I grew up with.
Yeah.
But that being said, I saw the. I mean, I still have the VHSs. They had, I think it was a Stormtrooper, maybe Yoda.
The THX releases of the original trilogy, the last release before the special edition.
Mm-hmm. So I remember watching and thinking like, whoa, that's cool. Like things are blowing up. Like, but I don't know what George Lucas did with the prequels. I don't know. I literally am gonna at some point bring on stream. I have a Jar Jar Binks. I was a fan. I was entertained by this really.
I have no problem with Jar Jar. I'm okay with Jar Jar. Yeah. But see, Phantom Menace was of the prequels. That's when Phantom Menace is when everybody's like, oh, politics, so boring. This of the prequels, that's my favorite prequel. Is Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I think it's my second favorite. Yeah, I mean, Qui-Gon was the best. Like, he was great. Yeah.
Phantom Menace was. I saw I saw Episode 1 9 times in a movie theater.
Wow. Yeah. I saw it at least a couple times, but I don't think I saw it that many times.
Yeah, I saw it 9 times in the movie theater. Saw Attack of the Clones twice. It's amazing what a 1-year-old due to your movie going experience.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones, I didn't like. Like overall, I mean, there's some really good parts, but I overall didn't like it.
It is my bottom tier of Star Wars films.
Yeah.
Well,
just, I don't know, there's.
We talked about it earlier. I mean, Rogue One. I should put that on my honorable mentions. Rogue One, and that's one of the newer ones.
I do definitely, yeah. I think Rogue One definitely was. It's one of those things that it's maybe because I had so little expectations. I think sometimes expectations kind of ruin a lot of things. It's the same reason I think I liked Andor. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and that same thing for both of those, which is interesting because they're both in the same setting.
You were talking about when you watched Return of the King and you were crying in a movie theater for your characters.
Hot mess.
I've never cried per se in a movie, but I got an emotional feeling watching Rogue One. And it wasn't even for any of the main characters. It was for Red Leader and Gold Leader.
Nice.
I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I feeling this for these two guys? But yeah, Red Leader and Gold Leader. Nice. Those were the two.
That movie was also another movie that changed fairly drastically at the last second.
Yes.
Like they went and refilmed for like another 3 months or something.
Yes,
because
that one.
Yeah, because it was the guy who Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, and then they had another director come in and sort of redirect some of it and sort of change
not
it.
Near as much as Solo though.
Yeah.
Because Solo,
Ron Howard came in for that one.
Yeah.
Please save it.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Well, anything else anybody wants to talk about real quick here? Anything burning? I mean, we've been going for almost an hour now.
I will say I'm surprised nobody brought up Indiana Jones.
Oh, I didn't even.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Raiders. Raiders is my favorite Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
People are like, ooh, Last Crusade, but no, Raiders is my
favorite. Raiders #1, Last Crusade 2.
Yeah, I'd probably do that. I'd probably go Raiders, Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, Dial of Destiny, then Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull was I remember going to see Dial of Destiny in the theater, and people are like, well, what do you think of it? I'm like, well, there's no Raiders, but it's also not Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I heard that Spielberg was fairly mad about that because that was his last one was Crystal Skull, and he thought it was great, and when it did not do well and was not critics didn't like it.
Sorry,
he was like, no more. He's like, oh, we're done here.
it wasn't great.
Yeah.
No. But I think I don't think they're making more. I think they did that last one. Harrison Ford said that was it and stuff, and we'll discuss recasting stuff later on in a different show on our feelings on recasting characters. All right. Well, I have nothing else to add. So, this has been our first show. Yay! First one's out. So we will have to do this again. I'd love to do this weekly if we can. So until the next time.
Had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Bye.
See you.